Ukrainians are white.
Yeah.
A large portion of them are white. Let's just say it. No, they're not. There's pictures of them. They're literally proud of it.
Yeah.
They're doing the Nazi salute on the battlefield. And look, I'm not saying Putin's a good guy or Russia's doing the right thing, but I'm saying that, look, it's a fact. We are funding. Okay? I'd rather fund American kids. I don't know how that's a controversial statement.
Hey everybody, welcome back to another episode of The Shift with Gina. I have a really great guest with me here today, but before I intro him, I'm going to remind you guys to please like, subscribe, share the show with anybody that you think might be interested. And for those of you ladies out there who are looking for a great health and fitness online community, click the link in the description to join The Shift. We are in the middle of a shoulder and arms upper body fitness challenge. We have a new nutrition challenge coming up. We've got some new exclusive interviews coming up next month with an herbalist and a nutritionist. And what else we got? We got a lot of fun stuff going on there. I always share some personal exclusive content there as well. So if you're looking for an online community, link in the description to join. And I think that's all the housekeeping. Mark Lobliner.
Yes.
Welcome.
It's great. Being that you only live 20 minutes from me.
And we see each other like twice a year.
It's really weird. I think we'd see each other more. It's like Alex will come out here and he'll be like, hey, I went and saw Gina. I'm like, oh yeah, she lives right up the road.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's
literally.
so
So how you been?
Good. Things have been good. This year has been a bit crazy.
It has.
Yeah, I'm sure it's been wild for you guys too.
It's been weird.
When I I was thinking about you coming on the show, I was like, how do I describe Mark? He's a professional bodybuilder, but you're also, you own multiple businesses.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I sit at a computer and look at spreadsheets, and I'm on sales calls and board meetings. I have the most boring. Everything looks really fun on Instagram and YouTube.
Yeah, it looks like you have a fun life.
So I budget about an hour out of my day for social media, and I make sure to do at least one YouTube video, and then I usually answer like tweets, and I'll post. Usually, when I'm going to the bathroom, that's the best time. So if I'm tweeting, you probably know I'm sitting on a toilet. Yeah, it's most likely.
Do you tweet in between sets at the gym, or you don't do that?
I try not to.
Okay.
I try not to. At the gym, I try to keep, I do things I call them distraction sets, where what I'll do is if I'm doing, I'll do a light, like let's say I'm doing chest, I'll do like light biceps at like 50% just to keep me occupied, or I'll do like some stretching, whatever, just to keep occupied. Because in the gym, I find it, if you're not focused on your workout, you're not going to have a good workout. And also like I'll see emails that'll make me really mad. Especially tweets. I don't want to be like, and it'll distract you. Like, oh, I got to answer that. Next thing you know, you're in a tweeting war and you're talking, and then you get DeSantis versus Trump, and then you're talking about this. Then someone's like, shut up. You know what you're talking about? You're on steroids. And then it gets crazy.
Yeah, it does. I've noticed that. Sometimes I have to set a timer in between my sets. Just so if I have to pick up my phone, I don't get like fully distracted and lost in it. Are you competing anytime soon?
I have no plans, but I'm not ruling it out for next year.
When was your last competition?
So I did the New York Pro, and I lost gracefully. I looked my best ever.
Yeah.
But again, these guys just looked better than me. So you're not going to hear me go like, man, I should have won. No, I got my butt kicked. But I looked my best ever, which is all you can. I'm the oldest guy up there usually.
Yeah. I was going to ask. I mean, you're usually one of the older guys.
Yeah.
And don't you have fewer years of experience too?
So I've been competing since I was 27. Just so you know, I'm 28 now. I'm 43. I'm 43. So, but I turned pro at 41. So New York Pro was my first pro show.
Wow.
And I didn't peak. I was traveling a lot beforehand. And as you know, it's hard to get anything going. And I'm not making any excuses because I could have dropped the show, and I really should have, but I didn't want to punk out. And I brought my best package ever. But at the end of the day, man, I'm too stressed. I'm running too many companies. Not an excuse. Nobody cares about that. But if I was able to dedicate like 8 weeks to like proper sleeping, training, but when you're sleeping 3 hours a night and traveling to the West Coast every week, which I was at the time, I could have done better, but I did my best.
Yeah.
It was my best ever. But yeah, I think next year I'm keeping it up in the air. The California Pro is, in May.
Okay. So
that gives me plenty of time, but it just depends on what happens in the businesses. Right now there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of requirements for me to travel and do that. And I have a family and stuff, and I coach my son son's football team. We have Legacy at Carbon where I coach every day.
Yes.
When I'm not traveling. So
Right.
yeah, it's great.
Yeah, I wanted to ask you about the new gym that you
Yeah.
opened. Legacy at Carbon.
Yeah.
Okay, tell me about that.
It's a youth performance facility. I mean, we
Great.
train. Last night we had 6 different sports in one class.
Wow.
We had a girl basketball player, we had a shot putter, we had a wrestler, we had a football player, we had a baseball player. It was just amazing. The energy in there. Our kids in football this year are getting recruited by big D1 schools, kids who weren't being recruited by D3, D2 schools. And everybody from, we have 7, 8-year-olds to, 18, 19-year-olds. We also have an adult class, which is more based on, well, it's more based on obviously aesthetics. These adults probably aren't trying to make a D1 school at this
Yeah.
point in their life. But I mean, it's a passion. That's what I want to do after I'm done with the whole spreadsheet life. I want to just coach kids. And my real passion is the one I don't get paid for. And I don't get paid for my own business anyway. We're actually losing money. But no, nonetheless, is actually I coach my son's U11 football team. We're undefeated. Just want to say that.
Yeah.
We've scored over 200 points. Our opponents have been held to 6. And we've had 2 teams try to fight us for running up the score.
Wow.
Yeah, I will run up the score. Actually, that's not my call. That's the head coach. I'm just the line coach. But let's just say I'm in his ear like, hey, let's call a timeout. We're winning by 40, but we need to score an extra.
Is that
6.
your youngest son?
Yeah, my 10-year-old's a beast. He's a monster. He's a good kid.
All 3 of your kids are beasts.
They're good kids. I don't know how the heck it happened.
Yeah. So Cammie is she out? If she graduated
Last year of soccer, she has a playoff game tonight. They're in the playoffs. She actually, they won 4-0 to move on Tuesday night. She had a goal and an assist. What a way to go out, though, right? Your last season. She has no intention of playing in college. She just wants to go to school, and she wants to compete in bikini, which I'm kind of mixed feelings about because it's a little bit bikini. Like they turn around and look back. Anytime your daughter's looking back at it, that's not a good thing.
Oh my gosh! Stop.
But I blame myself because she grew up in that world, and I'm just glad I wasn't a stripper, or else it would have been slightly better or slightly worse. And Thomas is wrestling. He's crushing it. He did really good at his first tournament of the preseason, was picking kids up and throwing them. And it's been, my kids are great. And I don't know what I'm doing. People always ask me advice. I don't know. I have no idea what I'm doing. It's lead by example.
Yeah. So what do you think that your kids have learned from the discipline that comes with sports? Because I mean, that's one of the things that I think sports offers kids is it teaches them discipline. It teaches them commitment and hard work, which, I mean, you have to admit, a lot of kids in this generation, they don't have from a young age. So what do you see your kids learning from all the fitness and sports that they've been in for so long?
So there was one rule in my house. One rule. You have to play a team sport. And you have to do a combat sport because they all teach their intrinsic values that are exclusive to those sports. So my kids early on chose soccer, which is great. Teamwork, cohesiveness, leadership. So that's beautiful, right? And listening to a coach, so you have like a CEO type figure giving you direction.
A little bit of hierarchy.
Yeah, you need hierarchy in life. You need leaders, right?
Yeah.
But in order to be a leader, you have to be led at some point. And then combat sports teach you that life's a battle. There's only one winner. And sometimes you're going to get punched in the face. So all my kids started with boxing and then they all moved on to wrestling. All my kids have wrestled. My daughter won a regional championship. My 10-year-old is the current state champion. And my 15-year-old was 3rd in state. So we take winning very seriously. My kids were never, ever, we never accepted that second place happens. Losing happens. But we never accepted it. So one time my daughter came home from kindergarten and she's like, my teacher said that even if you lose, it's okay. I'm like, hold on, time out. It's okay. It's going to happen. Like you have to accept it, but it's not okay.
Yeah.
You need to strive to never lose again.
Yeah.
I'm addicted to winning. So my kids were always raised that it's okay to lose, but you better work hard to never lose. Because in the business and the workforce, the reason I've been successful is because I've beaten a lot of people. And that's how life is. Like there's no participation trophies. You either get the job or you don't get the job. And that's how it is. So my kids, but we didn't have to even say it. We just went out and did it. My kids know that every day you train. They know that you're doing some form of exercise every day because that's what we did. So, but we've never told our kids to exercise. I've never been like, hey, you got to go or you got to play this sport. My kids played a bunch. They chose what they love. Or else I'd be really upset now that my daughter's not playing ball in college.
Yeah.
I am really upset. But it's not going to help. It's
She
not
might
gonna
change
help.
her mind.
No.
She's not going to.
I've offered her money. I've offered her up to $100,000.
Bribed her.
I'm like, dude, you get a full ride. I'll pay the $100,000 goes to you. That's what budget out for school, right? No,
gosh.
nope. She won't even take money. Like, I'm like, you're really letting me down as a Jewish girl here. Like you have forsaken your ancestors. Your grandfather is rolling around in his grave right now.
Gosh, you even
rolling
threw that
over.
at her and it didn't work.
Yeah, he threw the Jew card at her and everything. It wouldn't work. So yeah, there's nothing that can happen. Although I did win. I think I used that card because by getting her to wrestle, I told her that's how she got her car.
Okay.
I wanted to see her wrestle. It was me.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I held a car over her head and I gave her, she wouldn't have gotten the car anyway, but she believed me.
Yeah.
I was bluffing.
She's gullible.
No, she's not anymore. Because I'm like, I would have given you the car. I shouldn't have told her that.
You shouldn't have told her, yeah.
No, they're good kids. I think parenting's pretty simple. I think if you live an ethical, good life, they could mess up. They're gonna mess up.
Yeah, of course.
But I think they're more likely to make the right decisions because I think the data shows once they turn 10, if they don't have those values built in, you're pretty much screwed.
It's too late. Yeah.
You got to start early. You got to instill those values in them. You got to instill that work ethic in them, and you got to teach them, in my opinion, biblical stuff. You got to teach them the 10 commandments, the 5 pillars, whatever your belief system is. You need to have that basis. Even though we're not religious people, we don't go to church. We always had a 10 commandment based lifestyle in our house. Like I've been with my wife since we were in high school. Mm-hmm. Like it's my high school sweetheart. So they don't know any better than a 2-parent household.
Yeah.
They don't know this is their normal. So they know that you work out every day. They know that you work hard, and that's about all you can do.
Did you give your kids any rules for the use of social media when they were younger? Because how old is Cammie now?
Cammie's 17.
Okay. When did she start using like a phone and social media and all that?
So she's been on social media, at least through me, since she was 8 or 9. I think we started posting her lifts because it was crazy. Here's this like.
But you were posting it. It was
I
not
was
like
posting it.
right.
Yeah, and then I think at around 14, 15, but then we completely monitor, and we still do monitor it somewhat.
Yeah.
But I mean, she doesn't really do much with it, and I mean, you can't protect your kids from what they're seeing. You can just have your values around them. Like you can shelter them all you want. You can ban TikTok. They're going to see it. Their friends have it. They'll look at their phones. Mm-hmm. I coach hundreds of kids. At the end of the day, if someone has a phone, they're all watching that TikTok. Oh, what's that video? What's that video? What's going on? They're scrolling through mindlessly. I'll see my 10-year-old doing it, and there are some things you put off limits and you hope that they listen to you, but you can't, in this day and age, you have to almost instruct. You can't just ban it, or else you get the Catholic schoolgirl syndrome. And I went to a Lutheran college, and I've seen that.
Daughter syndrome.
Yeah, and so when they break free, it's not good. Yeah. So you have to say this stuff is out here, but
yeah, you have to educate them on it. Yeah.
In my opinion, other people have different opinions on that. I've never sheltered my kids. I shelter them from obviously some things, there's no like porn, right? Like, but from like social media, which is there's porn on Twitter. I didn't know that till.
Isn't that crazy? Elon Musk, can you please help us out? I'm so sick and tired of seeing
one of my buddies on there. One of my buddies on there. I don't look at people's profile pages. I just like tweet back and forth, but he's actually a porn producer. And I'm like, yeah, I've never looked at this guy's profile. And I'm like, there's stuff. I'm like, I wasn't like in a public place, but I also didn't want like anybody in my household seeing. I'm like, how do I get rid of this history? And I'm like, it's there. You can't. Internet's just opened up a whole can of worms that back in the day, I'd imagine you could protect your kids more.
Yeah.
Right now, you just have to tell them, look, this is out there, but this is the virtuous. This is the right way.
Yeah.
But it's there. And and you can homeschool them all you want. They're going to find stuff.
Yeah. Because these days, I think one of the things that makes me really sad when I look at a lot of kids, especially teenagers, preteens, they look way older. They make themselves look really old. But when I see pictures and videos of your kids, they look their age.
Yeah.
Like they look like kids. They look like innocent kids, And that's another thing. We talk to a lot of parents that have older kids too. And I feel like that in and of itself is usually an indicator that something's going right. Because when I see 15-year-old girls that have they wear the full face of makeup, they got the fake eyelashes, and they're dressing like they're 30 years old, we're like, how old are you? Like, what is going on?
I don't see that in the athletic world. Like, we coach a lot of athletic girls, We were majority girl. I think with the football breakthrough we've had at Legacy and wrestling, we have more. At one point, like my entire career started coaching girls soccer.
Yeah.
Like I've coached thousands of girls soccer players. It's literally what I'm really good at is girls soccer players. The valgus and the knees and the ACLs. It's my specialty. And what I find is you don't see that in the athletic world. You don't see athletes doing it.
Right.
It's more the girls who are unathletic. Athletic girls tend to dress like athletes. They're almost a modern day tomboy.
Yeah.
At least when we see them. And even when I see them in the real world, which you're like, wow, you don't wear athletic clothes. They're still not dressed like other girls will dress, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So I think, again, going back to the root of this, if you get your kids involved in athletics, you're less likely to have I'm sure there's a lot of athletic girls who dress inappropriately, but from what I see.
But generally
speaking, I mean, they're studs on campus anyway. If your team wins state or if you're an all conference player, you don't have to fake the funk. You don't have to stand out. You're ready to stand out because you're an athlete. Like, when my son did well in wrestling, now that he's on the team, he already has his group. He has his group he fits in with. And the athletes, they tend to stick together. Like his friend group, he's got this great baseball players, hockey players. Like, so athletes tend to already they're not looking for their place in society. Sports gives them that place in society. It's profound. It's great.
Yeah. We always talk about how with our daughter, I mean, she just turned 2, but I'm going to make 2 rules in our house. They have to do jujitsu, obviously, because daddy's, black belt teacher. Number 2, they have to play piano. And for me, because when I grew up, playing piano was so good for pattern recognition and memory, and it's really good and if they ever want to learn other instruments, it's a great bass instrument to learn. So those are the 2 rules. But our greatest fear is that like we put them in jujitsu from a young age and they just end up hating it as they get older and older, because that's like, that's dad's thing. So it would be such a bummer if you have this kid that just like hates the thing that you want them to love.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I have a good friend. He's in Jackson, Tennessee now. We coached in Illinois together. His name's Scott Keena, and his kids don't play soccer. He's like Mr. Soccer. I know so many soccer coaches whose kids don't play soccer, and they're like, it is what it is, man. You just support them. I let my kids play all kinds of sports. Like both of my boys played soccer. One of them just liked fighting. He liked boxing, then he liked wrestling. And soccer, he was good, but he wasn't progressing like the other kids. So he's like, hey, he can fight. Go fight, and my 10-year-old, he's just huge. Like he's a large individual, and he just looked so silly on the soccer field. There's this linebacker. He outweighs the other kids by double, and they're bouncing off of him. And it's like, so, the sport will choose your kid. I mean, they will find their love. Just let them choose stuff. Boxing, I was boxing. So I'm like, hey, come to the gym with me. Hey, we'll get some training in. And then next thing you know, they're sparring and they're fighting and they're actually having real fights. And it was cool. Yeah. A lot of people are like, oh, how can you let your kids box? I'm like, well, they're not getting hit that hard at that age. They're not like, it's not knockout power.
It's not like head trauma at that age.
No. When you get to 16, 17, you're getting hit hard.
Right.
And at that point, it's like they decided wrestling was more their speed.
Yeah. And that's one of the good things about jiu-jitsu and probably wrestling too, is there's a low risk of head trauma because it's not...
They're very similar sports.
Yeah, really similar. I mean, you're on the ground. It's, when it comes to grappling, there's a much lower risk for any sort of head trauma or injury.
You just get funny looking ears, right?
Yeah, the cauliflower ear.
Oh, my son has to wear this magnet thing on his ear during the season because my 10-year-old, he's already getting cauliflower ear.
Really? What does the magnet do?
It somehow like breaks up the tissue, something.
So it doesn't get like caught in there.
Yeah. I think my 15-year-old's trying to get it. He never wears headgear.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, some people can't get it. There's a percentage of people who can't get it. I think he might be that guy.
Really?
He's done the last 2 years. He's wrestled. Hours and countless hours, gone to camps. Yeah, the ear thing, but you don't fight someone with an ear. Like if someone has an ear like that, that's someone you don't fight. I don't care if they're 120 pounds.
Yeah.
Now, you see that ear, you walk away.
Yeah.
Because that guy's been in some fights.
His ear, it's just his left ear that's like that. And people who don't know what it is, wasn't it like somebody on the train one time asked you, who was still living in Brazil?
She thought it was a tumor.
Yeah, she asked him if he had a tumor on his ear, and he looked at her, he was like, yes. Yeah, whatever.
I think, a lot of the coaches, they can't wear AirPods.
Right. He can't either. He
Oh my
can't fit
God.
anything like that in there. Yeah, which I'm happy about because they're like head microwaves. But
Oh
yeah,
my
a lot of
goodness.
headphones just don't fit into his ear.
That is so funny.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's like as long as you can still wear AirPods, we're okay.
Yeah. But it's fine if men have the cauliflower ear. You know, it's like a good look on them. But I remember when one of the girls in San Francisco at our jiu-jitsu gym, she was starting to get cauliflower ear. We were all like, you know, the coaches were like trying to, don't you have to like
They drain it.
They drain it. And they were trying to like drain her ear constantly because it's different when a girl has cauliflower ear.
Oh, it's yeah, my daughter only did it for a year. She hated it. But she hated wrestling, but she hated losing more.
Yeah.
So she like really got into it. And then after she was I'm done. I'm out. I did what you told me to do. Can I have my car now?
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Can I have my car
You can
now?
have your car. That's how you got to do it in Brentwood, Tennessee.
Yeah.
You know, you have to, because they have everything. If you live in Brentwood, you have stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's probably nobody in Brentwood who's like, man, I'm really broke right now. You know, maybe the people live in credit by credit, whatever, in debt. But most people in Brentwood, like, dude, even the public schools, it's like a car show.
Wow.
We were going to buy my son a new Corolla. He's like, I get made fun of. I'm like, it's a new car. I'm like, when I was a kid, if you had a new Corolla, you were the guy. It's like, bro, your family got it. Like, I had a friend who had a Corolla. We thought he was the guy. I'm like, dude, you got 4 doors? Damn.
So, I mean, you're someone who you didn't come from much. So it's
No.
not like this is not a lifestyle like the kids that the life that your kids are living right now. That's not what you had growing up.
My life was pretty bad. I mean, by all standards, I thought it was great. You know, the whole street life, you know, gangbanging and getting in fights and doing really stupid stuff. But it was, I mean, I was alone. Like my mom was in some form of rehab and my dad was sick. So, you know, I just made it work. We lived in, you know, we lived in the Inglewood area in California. So that's where I spent most of my time. I ended up going to good high school. Thankfully, I was able to go to Culver City High School, which was a nice school at the time. But yeah, I did some really bad stuff, you know? And it wasn't because I think I was a bad kid. I just didn't know any other way. You know, it was just a matter of survival at that time. And you know, when you lack that family unit at home, you reach out for family elsewhere. And also people don't understand this. Like a lot of kids don't want to be affiliated with bad things. When you live in a city, when you live in a situation like that, if you're not affiliated, you're getting jumped every day. You're getting robbed every day. So a lot of kids just do it for protection. So you can't say that all these inner city thugs, I'm like, dude, they're just trying to get by.
Yeah, because you hear a lot of these people usually on Twitter and they're like, it's almost like a self-righteous thing. Why don't they just stop? Why don't they just make better decisions?
It'd be great. I think what's lacking, if you look at the problem, and this is someone coming from that situation, it's lack of men.
Yes.
And I always say this, and nobody gets triggered anymore. It's funny. I used to trigger people, and it seems like people stopped fighting for that. But look, I've seen a lot of people come from single mom households and do fantastic. There's a lot of really great single moms. And I'll even get flack on Father's Day for saying, hey, shout out to the single moms. Because a lot of times, yeah, I know the system's not always fair to men. But look, all the friends I had who had single moms, it was on the dad.
Yeah.
I mean, it happens where the mom gets cussed. I think that's more of a suburb issue. Like in the inner city, these women will take any man to help raise their kid.
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
I don't think, but the problem is there's no perspective, there's no nuance. Everybody's like, oh no. Like the manosphere on Twitter is the worst place on earth.
Oh my gosh.
Because it's so toxic. There's nuance to everything. So I think the way to fix the inner city, well, money would help. Like instead of sending billions to Israel and Ukraine, I would say that we would send billions to their city. But you don't just send them money. That doesn't work. You put programs in place, right? The Big Brothers, Big Sisters, we fund the hell out of organizations like that. You actually hire good men to go there and work as mentors. That's how you fix the inner city. You have someone, these kids don't know how real men should act. Why are my kids doing well? Well, one is my wife is amazing. Okay, 2 is that I'm there. Half of the battle is being there.
Right.
Like just being a man and being there and going to work. That's the example they need to see. Coming home, not being a drunk. Staff, don't drink is number 2. Every time you hear a bad story, oh, my dad would come home, drink a 6-pack and beat me. You never hear like my dad came home, he went for a jog, he lifted some weights, oh, and then he beat the hell out of me. No, it's always like my dad drank and then he beat me up. Have you ever heard anybody, yeah, you know, my dad, he was like he took steroids and lifted weights and then he beat me up. I've never heard that. Have you ever heard that? Have you ever heard anybody like my dad was a steroid? Because steroids called roid rage, right? Roid rage.
Right.
Right.
My dad was really, really fit and he beat me all the time.
Yeah, he just had to beat me up. No, your dad went. He got his aggression out. He injected some testosterone, was jacked and tanned, came home, posed a little bit, told you to eat your friggin' Wheaties, and then you went to bed.
Yeah.
It was great. No, but it's always alcohol. And that's what usually causes men to be weak. And the whole, my man cave. Man cave? I have a man house. Look, man, I pay that damn mortgage. It's my house.
Yeah.
We share it. We're both on it's our house. Like, why am I going to build a cave so I can hide from my family? No. Weekends should be spent with your family. You should be coaching your kids' team, or at least at the game, playing catch with them. So the problem is in the inner city, that's the problem in the suburbs. Inner city is you don't have dads. 77% of the households are single moms. 77%. It was 21% in the 60s when racism was much worse. You're telling me we've gotten more racist? Well, I guess they would tell you we've gotten more racist.
They would say that, but obviously not true.
Well, I mean, Biden's still in office. He did openly use the N-word all the time on TV.
And didn't he give the eulogy for some KKK guy's death?
He wasn't a KKK guy. He was a grand wizard. He was like the CEO of the KKK. He was like the guy. He was like the Klansman. So I just look at things, and feminism killed the inner city. Like, we always want to say it's this, it's that. No. It's basically feminism gave men a reason to be, I can't use the P word, to be sissies. I'm being good today. Feminism gave men a good reason. Well, they got it. They're just as good as us. They can raise this kid.
Also with the government handouts that
Yes.
started in the Great Society Act, which I think was 1967, late 60s, where the government financially incentivized women to not marry the father of their children.
And they'd give you child credits.
Yeah. I mean, because if you think about what was happening before, right? Like when you said the single motherhood rate was 20 to 25%.
Yeah.
And then the marriage rates in Black communities and divorce rates were really similar to white communities, very similar. But then you have the government that comes in, they're like, okay, if you're single and if you don't marry the father of your child, we'll give you extra money.
Yeah.
And of course, I mean, we're humans. We're incentivized to do things when it comes to money. And so that, as soon as that started happening, that played a really big role too.
And so that's the problem with point A liberal thinking. It sounds really good, man. We're going to help these women
Sounds
out.
compassionate.
Oh, it's compassion, but compassion is sometimes the worst thing you can have because it doesn't factor in human nature, the human condition. So one thing I thought that could have gone really well that didn't, because it turned racial, was the Million Man March. I thought the Million Man March was, if you think about it, the whole premise of it, like, men, you suck. We need to go out here. We need to be men. We need to lead our communities. Sure, there was a racial, the people behind it were pretty racist people. But if you think about like the messaging on that, if we can deliver that and get men to actually be like, no, I'm done with this. Like, we need to save this country. And that's not a racial thing. It just happens that the inner city, which happens to be predominantly a certain culture, a certain race, is being affected by it more than others. That is systemic race. It absolutely is systemic racism because it's affecting a race more than others. Does that mean that it's my fault? No. The only thing I can do is affect my own community.
Yeah.
And my family. I have that responsibility. However, it is up to men in those communities, or men who are somehow brought into those communities through programs, to step up and help these kids.
Yeah.
And that's the problem, is that we do not want to have that difficult conversation. And also, like, you have the rainbow crowd, the rainbow crew, they get mad anytime you say anything about straight male helping anybody out or a powerful, strong man. Look, man, everybody hates strong men till there's a war.
Yeah.
We're going to really want them now.
There was this meme where it was like, when World War III starts, all the feminists, and it was like the icons of the 1950s housewives are like cleaning the bathroom wall and like vacuuming and like cooking. They're like in the kitchen now. No, but my dad, he grew up, he was the oldest of 5, and his parents split up when I think he was 8 or 9, 10 maybe at the oldest. And his dad was not really around. His dad would maybe just come visit here and there. And it was really tough on him and his family. And he had to like step up as like a 10-year-old to essentially like be this sort of father figure for his 4 siblings. And he always tells me the thing that saved his life was joining the military when he was like 18 or 19. And now he's got 3 younger brothers. His younger brother, the second brother, just joined AA like 15 to 20 years ago.
Okay.
And so has turned his life around. But their youngest 2 brothers are in their early 60s and they're in and out of jail and rehab.
In their 60s.
They're both in halfway houses right now. And so this is what happens when you have a single mom. And look, my grandmother, God rest her soul, I mean, she tried really hard with the kids. She was working multiple jobs just to pay the bills. They lived in Long Beach, New York, which is, not far from New York City and not exactly a great area to raise kids, big party town. And, my grandmother tried really hard with all 5 kids. And my dad said he would be exactly in the same place as his younger brothers if he didn't join the military. Yeah. And it's similar to sports, right?
Sports are everything.
People don't really understand that these things often save kids. They save boys. And my dad has some really close friends from the military, like all these years they've stayed close. Every single one of them says they would have been in drugs, they would have been in jail if it weren't for the military.
For me, it was football or military. Mm-hmm. That was it. So I'm like, I had to really go hard at football because I don't like sharing restrooms with people.
Or showers.
Showers. No. There's some weird stories about me showering in high school I don't wish to talk about. Well, I mean, we never hazed. We weren't those people. But like freshmen always don't want to shower. And there's a story out there. It's funny because one of my buddies did a collaboration video, and this guy who was a freshman, I was a senior, like messaged him like, "Hey, ask Lowbliner about this." I'm like, "Oh no," and it was like I used to just go like, and I was like 280 pounds. So it wasn't like bodybuilder Mark, who you're used to seeing in tights, not a body you want to see in any naked fashion. So I used to put a towel over my shoulder as a senior, walk over, because we had the varsity cage, the JV cage, and the freshman cage. I was like, "Hey, any of y'all want to shower?" Just like that.
Oh my gosh.
And I forgot about it because it's years ago. I never like harassed him. It was just like funny, haha. Here's a big fat naked guy, and so like the story. So the guy, his name is Wes Boxley. His Mac Truck is his name online. He goes, "Hey, bro, is this true?" I'm like, "Yeah." I can neither confirm nor deny. So yeah, I mean, look, sports for a lot of kids, it's a way out. And that's why, I was just reading something this morning, like it's pay to play right now for club soccer and basketball and baseball. Football is the one pure sport left. I'm paying like $30 for my kid to play. Football is the one sport that if you got an inner city kid and he's good at ball, he can go places. With NIL, he'll be a millionaire by the time he graduates college. NIL is crazy. These kids are making more than the pro athletes.
Really?
Look what Deion's done to Colorado. I love it. I want to see these kids succeed as long as someone teaches them what to do with their money. I know a lot of people who've gotten and lost it.
Yeah.
So every kid needs a Jewish advisor. That's the key. We need to have like
one of those. Jew in your life.
You need a lot of Jew in your life. I'll volunteer for that. I'll be like, hey. Just like remember that, what was that? The millionaire's like, "I'd like to phone a Jew." "Yes, I'm about to buy a car with 24-inch rims. Is this a good idea?" No, don't do it. Don't do it. You got to go 529 for your kids later on. Well, if you have kids, get a 529 and Roth IRA. Okay, good. Done.
Yep.
Yeah. It's become sports, military that saves kids. Yeah. But what does it do? What is a military? Someone's telling you what to do. It gives you order. It gives you a purpose. Yes. But if you have no purpose in life other than just to survive to tomorrow, good luck becoming an upstanding citizen. Because you're just worried about putting food on the table.
Yeah. I mean, it's just like Jocko Willink says, discipline. What does he say? Discipline gives you freedom. And it's especially true for young men. It's so sad now to see a lot of these young men. They don't, so even if they have a father at home, the father is just like checked out.
Yep.
And I think that's what's really sad. And the dad's just not really invested. He might just be glued to the TV watching sports every weekend. He's just not really a father figure.
Yeah.
And that's, you end up with all these young boys that just have no direction and no purpose.
None. And that's why I coach. I mean, even young females, like a female needs to know how a man should act. And that's why people who are if they come from an abusive family where the man hits the husband hits the wife, man hits the woman, they're more likely to get involved in that situation because that's what they know. I mean, that's their normal. Like, imagine how terrible that is. That's their normal. And it's sad. And that's why, I have this on my shelf in my office. A good coach can change a game. A great coach can change a life. And that's why it's so critical. So how do you say, everybody's like, well, you can't save the inner city. Because I'm like, hey, I'm cool with money going international, right? But first of all, let's worry about our $33 trillion and let's worry about the inner cities. Like everybody claims to care about young black children and young brown children and young children in general, but mainly though we always use them for votes and this and that, right? Oh no. Why don't we have that money going to these programs? Why are we giving money to white people in Ukraine and Israel before we give money to brown and black people in the inner cities? Yeah, I'm bringing it racial because they always play that damn race card. Let's play the race card.
Yeah, throw it back in their face.
Ukrainians are white.
Yeah.
A large portion of them are white. Let's just say it. No, they're not. There's pictures of them. They're literally proud of it.
Yeah.
They're doing the Nazi salute on the battlefield. And look, I'm not saying Putin's a good guy or Russia's doing the right thing, but I'm saying that, look, it's a fact. We are funding. Okay. I'd rather fund American kids. I don't know how that's a controversial statement. Until we fund American children, I do not think we should be funding anybody. In fact, I say let them do their own thing. Russia wants Ukraine, take it. Go ahead. I don't care.
I'm just sick and tired of the U.S. getting involved in all of these foreign issues and foreign wars.
Well, why is Russia doing this anyway? It's NATO.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
NATO. Imagine if Russia put a base in Mexico. We'd be like, yeah, we should probably take some stuff over just to make sure and also the trading route. They need Ukraine for that trading route.
Exactly.
So I mean, everybody who's saying Putin's look, my job for my companies, like, okay, I don't care if bodybuilding.com goes out of business. Don't care. People be unemployed, sucks, right? As long as tigerfitness.com, that's my job, to keep those people employed, to keep my employees employed. Putin's job is keep Russia great.
Yeah.
It's his only job. He doesn't give a darn about the US. He doesn't give a darn about, he just cares about Russia. And he's over there doing what Russia needs done. What any leader would do, in my opinion, protecting his trade. Okay. Yeah, he's not a good dude, but I can understand why militarily, strategically, he's doing it. Okay, let them battle it out. That's across the world. How are we loaning people money when we're $33 trillion in debt?
It's insane. It's insane. And our economy right now, I mean,
sucks.
I don't know how people are affording things.
No.
Like, I don't know where I saw this video. It was probably on Twitter, but somebody was comparing the prices just at Costco between last year and this year.
It's
Did you
Twitter.
see that? And it was like 120% increase of prices. Like, and they're like, oh, inflation is only, 5 to 7%. It's just, they're lying to us. There's no way.
It's way over 5 to 7.
Way
And
over.
It's definitely market. It's market specific, right? Like, for example, in the supplement world, we had a bigger increase in, let's say, whey protein versus glutamine, right? Like different ingredients, different increases in price based on the, availability and everything. But everything, the dollar's been weakened.
Yes.
And also, I mean, we have a problem where we have immigration through the roof. Everything's in the wrong direction. This is as someone who's been around 43 years as an independent, I still refuse to label myself a Republican. I'm an anti-Democrat. I'm not a Republican. I refuse to align myself with a party that has Mitch McConnell in it. Sorry. I don't want that guy on my team. That's not my squad. Like, that is not my squad. Sorry.
Cocaine
Libertarians, again, I've spoken at the Mises Caucus events. I like those people, but it's not going to win. Like,
No.
Libertarians not even winning on the local level. They'll win like one council seat. They're like, look, we're winning. I'm like, you want a council seat in Wichita? Like, no, that ain't winning. Like, that's like nobody voted. They just had more friends. Okay, that's just it. Local election. If you look at the local elections out here, for the mayoral election, like 2,000 people vote. Or some, like, for the special elections here. And there's hundreds of thousands of people.
Yeah.
Nashville's election, nobody voted. I think it was like 10% came out for their council election.
Whoa.
And who were they? Far left. The left votes. Independents, Republicans, they don't vote.
They don't, yeah.
That's why they're losing. They complain. Oh, these liberals, did you vote? No. Yeah, I mean, we can't say that it was rigged. I know that some irregularities happened, but the fact that every governor who was pro-lockdown, the fact that every one of them got reelected, it shows that they're not rigged.
Yeah, that's the one thing that I think the right has a really hard time admitting, is that the right cannot mobilize on the ground. They can't. But then you have guys like Scott Pressler. Do you follow him?
Yeah, he's great. And I actually sent bars for him for his road shows all the time.
He's like one of the few that's trying to be on the ground.
One guy.
I know, exactly.
And he's done more than the entire Republican Party.
I know.
Like, he has done more than that. Who's that chick with the surgery? The one, what is her name? The one in charge. She has all the face surgery. She's the one in charge of the Republican. Why am I blanking on her name? But yeah, she's she won. She's the Republican people. I can't think of her name. But yeah, Rita starts with an R. But anyway, they've done nothing.
Yeah.
They don't They don't get involved in local elections. The
They
Republicans
don't.
are just weak.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, this is why I look at the right. I'm like, you just deserve to lose. We just deserve to lose.
Then we all lose. We just need
I know,
somebody
that's the
not
thing.
Democrat.
And the other thing that the right is really, really bad at, well, two things is number one, appealing to the youth, and number two, appealing to women.
It's
look,
abortion.
Because the whole thing,
Yeah.
like facts over your feelings. Okay, but that's not going to change anybody's mind. And you have to understand that men and women function differently.
Women are not about facts.
We're not. We're
It's
not.
just
and
not.
and you
No
can,
offense.
You can make fun of us all you want about that. Go ahead. Call us names, tease us, make fun of us, whatever. You're going to lose. You're going to lose if you don't understand that men and women think differently and they respond to different arguments, which is why the left is so good at mobilizing women. Because like women, white women, they're like the biggest voting drivers for the left.
Damn those white women.
Damn those white women. Because the left, even though they do it, it's a lie and it's false and it's fake, but they wrap everything up in compassion.
Yeah.
But the right is like, yes, abortion is killing a baby. Yes, abortion is wrong. It's immoral. It's bad for the mother. It's bad for the child that you're killing. But if you just yell and scream and call them whores and murderers for killing their kids, like, do you really think that's going to change people's minds? And what are we trying to do here? Are you trying to make women feel bad? Or are you trying to change minds and win elections?
These are the same people screaming that there's a biological difference between men and women who refuse to admit the biological differences between men and women. We're different.
Exactly.
We think different. We're wired differently. There's a reason I could not, my kids, until they turned of age where they could play sports, I was useless. I'm not cuddling anybody. Okay, I'm not a cuddler. My wife's nurturing, cuddling. Are you okay? I'm like, shut up, get up, rub some dirt on it. You're
That's
fine.
how he is with our daughter too.
As he
I'm like,
should be. She needs that toughness. Like, she can't have two weak, I'm not gonna say the P word, weak people. And not that you're the P word, but we can't, but you can't have two weak parents. You have to have one, you have to have a yin and a yang, right? So the problem is people like Shapiro, I mean, he's, he finds something and he will die on that. And then he'll be proven wrong. Like, just get the vaccine, you dopes. Okay, thank you, Ben. Like at that point, that's when I lost respect because he has no nuance.
Yeah.
And he's just, I don't know what he's going for, but he's not winning any hearts and minds. And for women, like as someone who owns companies that markets to men and women, we're trying to increase our, at Ambrosia, we have a plant protein. Mm-hmm. We want more women to buy it.
Yeah.
It's a different advertising technique.
Totally different. It's very different. I mean, even when like I have a women's group and we talk about health and wellness, but we always talk about things in culture and motherhood too. And at the end of the day, this is very simplistic, but I think people need to realize that women want to feel loved.
Yes.
And you can't, that's why this whole like red pill manosphere thing, like it's just the pendulum has swung. And look, in a way, I understand why it exists because feminism really did ruin our culture. And so you have one side of the pendulum was over at feminism, and then it swung all the way over with red pill manosphere, which is essentially like hating women. Women hit the wall at 25. And like, obviously, women aren't going to respond to that. That's not going to help women be less promiscuous. That's not going to help women want to get married and have kids earlier.
Yeah.
That's not going to help women want to be more feminine and want to be more nurturing. It's just not. So it really is like my question is always like, what are we really trying to do here? Are we really trying to just make people feel bad for the bad choices that they've made? Or are we really trying to like make some changes here?
And accept them into the culture.
Yeah.
Or get them into the culture. Look, I don't care if a woman has a body count of 200. She wants to change her life around. Why are we, oh, well, you can never be accepted back because you have that. But that's the new message.
That
like
is.
Once you make that, no, hold on. I've known a lot of women who were sluts in college. Am I allowed to say slut?
You can say slut.
Okay, you did too. Who've actually become, they say, the old saying was you can't turn a hoe into a housewife.
Yeah.
I disagree.
But you can. I mean,
absolutely can.
And this is why I always tell women, like, there is always redemption and forgiveness available. And this is to men too, but
Yes.
obviously my message appeals more to women. There's always forgiveness and redemption available.
Isn't
always.
that the whole Christian thing?
It is. That's exactly
These are all
the whole
Christian people
thing.
saying stuff.
That's
They're
why
like,
it
well, if you
doesn't-
have a body count, it's like, no, hold on. Jesus literally did that thing in the Bible with the prostitute. Like that was a
Literally.
whole part of the Bible.
Christ spoke to a lot of sinful women and prostitutes.
Yes.
Like he conversed, and he didn't like hang out with them buddy. Like he was telling them that he is the Lord and they need to repent for their sins. But he conversed with a lot of women that were considered untouchables in society. And he didn't do it in a way that was, making them feel terrible and calling them names. Like he was bringing them to he was bringing them to God. He was bringing them to the truth.
Yep.
And that's what the right totally gets wrong. But here's the thing. If you say any of this as a woman, you're automatically labeled a feminist.
Well, I mean, I'm labeled a lot of things because I have nuance. I don't jump on the Trump camp. I like DeSantis better than Trump. A lot. I like a lot of people better than Trump, but I think he's the guy. He's going to get the nomination.
Yeah.
And he's better than anyone on the left. Anyone. RFK is, as you know, he's just an old school liberal. And right now, that's not what our country needs. Like, we don't need a gun grabbing liberal. I like his stance on a lot of things. I am 50% RFK. Like, it is hard for me not to vote for him, but on some issues, like the Second Amendment, I'm really passionate about.
Because he's gonna go as an independent, right?
Yeah, but he believes in what he does. Biden, again, he was anti-gay marriage, anti-this, anti-that, abortion only when necessary.
Right.
He changes based on what will get him votes. RFK doesn't care.
Yeah.
He has not changed. He is an old school, my body, my choice liberal. That's why the vaccine thing made sense for him.
Yeah.
Because that's what JFK would have done. JFK would be like, nah, man, it's your choice, bro. Your body, your choice.
Yeah.
That doesn't just partake in abortion. That's why I was a Democrat. That's why I was a liberal. That's why I used to think like that. Because I was like, just leave me alone. And yeah, we should have some social things here and there. Good, cool. Democrat, sounds great.
Yeah.
But the Democrats have gone pro-war. Now just being anti-war, I'm right-wing. Who'd have thought that's a thing after the Bushes were in office? I'm like, hey guys, I don't like Putin. Kind of feel for the Ukrainians. A lot of good OnlyFans girls out there, but there are a huge amount. I just read about it online. Hey, by the way, just for the record, if there's any OnlyFans girls who need a place to stay in this turmoil, I have a big house. No, just Katie, we're taking in OnlyFans girls.
Katie.
I think she'll be okay with it. I don't see a problem.
She would probably feed them the best meals and just
my 15-year-old would love it. All his friends would be over all the time. It'd be
his
great.
dream.
I'd be the
best
I'd
dad.
be the coolest dad ever. It's like, all right, we're taking in some Ukrainians who need help. What are you doing, huh? Like, I'm actually opening my home to these lovely oppressed young women.
Lovely models.
And providing them with cameras and everything they need.
Wi-Fi?
Yeah, dude, we got fast Wi-Fi too. Brentwood's got the good Wi-Fi. but no, I mean, look, at the end of the day, I think that RFK, again, if I'm choosing RFK or Biden, or Kamala, I'm going RFK.
Of course.
RFK lives by the sword. I do think he believes everything he says.
I think so too.
Because he literally got kicked out of his own party. The party that his family is like the people of.
Yes.
RFK is my dude. I just don't agree with him. But I like the guy. Mm-hmm. He's in shape. He's on TRT.
Yeah.
Big fan of that guy. He's jacked too.
He's jacked.
Oh my goodness.
You see him, he does backflips off of the boat and stuff.
I'm a big fan. He's like, isn't he? He's old as hell. He's like 70 or something.
Yeah, he's over 70. I'm actually curious now. Let me see.
I love RFK, but he's just not. I'd still vote for Trump over him. But I had to.
You know, the moms love him. He's 69.
Why is that funny? We're talking about how hot he is.
How old are we?
I mean, just
after I said the moms love him.
This is supposed to be a show about, we're supposed to be the conservatives here. Okay, we're 13.
We're supposed to be serious people.
Well, we were talking about him being hot.
Yeah.
And then that happened to be his age. But RFK is a good looking old dude. Like Mom's Law, he's good looking. His voice is the only thing holding him back. If he had Trump's voice, like a good voice.
People don't understand how important stuff like that is, because some people say, I've heard people say that, like, dude, Obama won the election on his voice.
Oh, and he was charismatic. I had a buddy who was when he was a senator in Illinois, he was a reporter. And he interviewed Obama before he was Obama. He's like, the guy just, you walked in there and it was like charisma.
Yeah.
You just felt his presence.
Yep.
You know, Candace Owens had that same effect.
She totally has that. She's got the it factor when she walks into a room.
She floats. She floats. She levitates.
Totally. She commands the presence, and she's magnetic.
Even if you don't know who she is, you're like, she's got to be somebody.
She's somebody.
Like,
yeah,
and
totally.
So even if you don't like her, you got to be like, well, that's how you command a room.
Yeah.
And so I love that guy. I really like him as a person. I like when people have different views than me, and he can explain why he has those views. But, you know, politicians don't do that. And even Trump, I mean, he banned bump stocks. Like, there's a lot of things that Trump does that you're like, and you point them out. But if you're looking at the Ben Franklin chart of who has the best chance of bringing this country where it needs to be, it's probably Trump. And that's sad.
I know.
That he's the guy. I don't think he should
I
be.
really want Trump's economy again.
He's just not a good dude. Like, he's not a good person. And I visit a lot of stores. I visited over 200 stores this year. And I went into one of our accounts. I'm not going to say which store because we'll say who it is, in New York. And you could, out of nowhere, the manager just told me, she's like, she hates Trump. Okay. I'm like, hey, I'm from Tennessee. She's like, I hate that guy. I'm like, okay. You realize he's not from Tennessee, right? And she doesn't even know I have a Twitter or anything. Like, she doesn't know who I am. And I'm like, oh, that's how much they hate him.
Hate him.
And she was a white woman.
Yeah, see, I'm telling it really, like, I mean, I know friends in LA, California that are they're really awake to what happened with, the C word, the virus, and the what, and they're like very RFK type, right? But no matter what, they just hate Trump. They just hate him no matter what. And all these white women, and they can't even say why. It's like all those street interviews where people are like, hey, Trump or Biden? And they're like, obviously Biden. And they're like, why? What's wrong with Trump? And they're like, well, he's a liar. Okay, what's one thing he's lied about? He's just mean. What's one mean thing that he said? He's orange. Like, they can't answer any questions. Like, I have friends that are like that, but they just hate him no matter what. Their hatred for him is just.
See, I can have tangible reasons I don't like Trump. Like, the 15 days to flatten the curve, that lost me right there.
Too.
The printing of money, the $1,200 stimulus
He put
checks.
Fauci in power.
Fauci. I mean, I can, but the thing is, they're not as well read as us.
Yeah.
But Trump overall was the best president. He was better than Reagan. He was better than any president. The only president I think would be close is Clinton. I think Clinton overall. I mean, the economy, we were actually not in a deficit.
Yeah, weren't we doing well economically when Clinton was in office?
People won't admit it, but Clinton was a great president. And Newt Gingrich was in the House. So you're saying he knew how to reach across the aisle and work with people. Yeah. Oh, so there's no reason to crap on Clinton. He wasn't a good guy.
I don't really know much about his presidency. I think I was too young.
You know what? All I know is the economy was in a good spot. Yeah. And if you look at people our age, my age, over 30, right? They're like, dude, remember how awesome the 90s were?
Yeah, everyone says that. Yeah.
Who was in charge?
Yeah.
Who was the guy?
They say the 90s was like the golden
90s
era.
was the greatest. We had Milli Vanilli. We had Vanilla Ice. Milli Vanilli wasn't even Milli Vanilli. Do you know the Milli Vanilli story?
No.
So you got to look it up. So they were a singing group. Girl, you know it's true. That was their song. And so they were lip syncing. And they were just dancing. And one time they got caught off. And so it was exposed and everybody was returning their CDs at the time.
CDs.
And the funny thing is the songs were still the same. Like, why are you returning? It's still the same music.
Yeah.
But yeah, Milli Vanilli, MC Hammer, you had the gold LL Cool J was in his prime, like just music wise.
Yeah.
Metallica. Megadeth.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing about fixing the economy is that it sounds funny, but I really think that having a much better economy would really help us fix the culture.
Oh, yeah, economy's everything.
Because it's like if everyone is just trying so hard just to get by. I mean, I know we've talked to so many families recently where it's like going to the grocery store is just, it's like a painful experience. They got 6 kids.
Yeah.
And it's like just, buying meat and eggs. Eggs are like $7-8 a dozen.
You won't see me going to the grocery store anymore. It's either Aldi, Trader Joe's, or Costco.
Okay, we have
Walmart too.
We have an Aldi's right here,
amazing.
But I never go. I feel like I want to start going.
Aldi is amazing.
Is
Dude,
it?
we buy.
I just don't have quarters for the stupid cart.
It's $1. They give it to you if you go in. Say, "Hey,
really?
I don't have a quarter." Yeah, they hook you up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, if you forget a quarter, they will hook you up. But dude, I bought 9 flats of ground turkey yesterday. I bought 2 things of chicken. If I can't go to Costco, I go to Aldi, and it's usually better prices than Costco.
Oh, we gotta go there. It's
gem.
right there.
It's a gem. It's amazing. Aldi is my favorite store by a mile.
Okay.
We go to Costco. We go to Walmart.
Yeah.
But we won't go to, I won't say grocery store. I do a lot of business with them.
Okay. I think I know.
but they're always at least 2 to 3 times more than if you look where you're shopping. We actually are spending less now than we were before the inflation because we are cognizant of where we shop.
Yeah.
Because Walmart is the best. I love Walmart.
Yeah.
Walmart crushes it with groceries.
It really does. It's just wish we had one closer. Because what we
Cool
do.
Springs is your closest?
We go. I think so. Yeah, we go to this farm, and he gets raw milk and eggs,
Yeah.
like 4 dozens of eggs every week, and the eggs are way cheaper.
You have a
than
raw milk
Walmart.
place?
Yeah.
I'll have to text you about that.
Yeah. I'll next time he goes, I'll ask him if they want to take on another client because they're great. It's $7 for a gallon.
Really?
For a gallon.
Yeah, my kids drink a lot of milk. I'd rather them drink that.
Yeah, it's really good. I mean, our daughter loves it, but Aldi, we got to try it.
Aldi's the best. I think it's the most underrated store.
Okay.
It's amazing. Like, and you have to bag your own stuff, so bring your own bags.
Okay. That's the one thing I always forget.
Because they understaff.
bags.
So there was one.
Okay.
There was like a store was packed yesterday. I went there last night, and there's one person. I'm like, this is gonna take forever. Nope, they just throw it in your cart. You go bag it yourself.
Yeah.
But it's. I'm telling you, like, there's ways to save money.
Yeah.
But it's tough because you can't buy a house anymore.
Yes, I know. I mean, we're so great. We bought our place 2 years ago now, but we know so many families that just can't buy.
8%. And so basically they found that I think the average, if you don't make over, I think it was $125,000 a year, you can't afford a median priced house. Wow. Yeah. But then again, we went out, you go to Spring, if you go out like here, like Brentwood, for a house you'd pay $1.2 million for.
Yeah.
You go out the other end of Spring Hill and you could get a house still for $350.
Yeah.
You could still, it's just where you want to live. With a lot of people working remote, I think just living in the city is just unattainable for most people.
It is, yeah.
But you're going to have to adjust your lifestyle because this ain't getting better anytime soon. And they can't just lower the interest rates. It would crash the economy. It would go to hell. Yeah. So they're going to have to, so it's going to take, we're going to lower the rates. Trump's not going to come in, we'll be back down to 2.5%. It's going to take 3-4 years if they decide to lower the rates for them to get back down to that. So if you can't afford a house now, you're not going to be able to afford a house for 4 or 5 years. It is what it is, unless you find some money. And you see Airbnb's crashing, which is going to cause a whole housing surplus.
Yeah.
You saw that.
Yep.
It costs less. I found this out when we were booking a vacation. It costs less to rent hotels.
Stay at a hotel. Yeah.
And they clean your stuff when you're done.
You don't
It's
have to
great.
pay extra for cleaning and do your dishes and stuff.
Airbnb quit being a good deal about 2 years ago.
Yeah.
It got crazy. But yeah, I mean, it's tough out there. The economy's not good. I just did an email message to my subscriber list, my personal list, like, hey, you can only control what you can control.
Yeah.
And we can't control the federal economy. You can just control your local area, like where we live, and you can control how much money you make up to a point.
Yeah.
You could work harder. You could deliver groceries on the side. You could do Uber Eats. Like, it's tough times. We haven't had a time like this since the 30s. This is the worst it's ever been in a long time. And they won't admit it because they're fudging the statistics. But history will show this is a very tough time.
Yeah. It's really hard. We got to wrap. This was really good. This was fun. I mean, since you live like right down the road.
Yeah, it's over there.
Number one, we should do dinner. We need to.
Yes.
Katie, last time I talked to Katie, she's like, "Yeah, we got to have you guys over," and we just never texted. Things get crazy. We should get together more, and we should do more content together.
I'm down.
Yeah. This was awesome. So where can everybody find you?
So I'm at Mark Lobliner on most things: Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, /Tiger Fitness, youtube.com/Tiger Fitness. And I own a site called tigerfitness.com. That's
Cool.
that's what I do.
And Outright Bars. I'm
Yeah,
gonna eat one now.
those are available in a lot of places. Every vitamin shop, there's an easy one.
This is one of my favorite flavors.
The cookies and creams are best seller.
This is a
So
really good
we've had a surprisingly big uptick this year. So it's been a fun year.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thank you for coming, Mark.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, we'll see you next time.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. That was awesome.